Hello everyone. Kiss her here and she'll get obsessed works 100% of the time. No one ever really sat you down and explained the real truth about physical touch. And I'm not talking about the shallow advice you often hear, those simple lists like 5 places to kiss a woman or 10 moves that guarantee attraction. That kind of information barely scratches the surface. What I mean is the deeper truth, the kind of truth that explains a strange but very real phenomenon: how two different men can perform the exact same action at the exact same moment in the exact same way and still produce completely different outcomes. Imagine this scenario. 2 men kiss the same woman. The timing is the same. The gesture looks the same. Yet one of those kisses creates electricity, tension, and emotional intensity. The other one creates nothing. No spark, no lasting feeling, just a moment that fades almost immediately. Same action, completely different result. If you've ever experienced that confusing gap where you believed you were doing everything correctly but something still didn't land the way you expected, then stay with me for a moment, because the answer to that mystery has very little to do with where you touch her. Instead, it has everything to do with who you are in the moment you touch her. Most men spend years studying attraction from the outside. They focus on the visible pieces, the moves, the lines, the techniques, the strategies. And that makes sense. When you don't understand why something isn't working, your first instinct is to search for an external solution. You start thinking, maybe I need better words. Maybe I need smoother moves. Maybe I just need more confidence. But after years of studying human psychology, attachment dynamics, and emotional bonding, something becomes very clear. Women rarely become deeply drawn to a man because of a technique. They become drawn to a man because of how he makes them feel about themselves when he is close to them. That realization is something most people never reach. And today we're going to explore it in depth. What I'm going to explain here is not a checklist of body parts. This isn't about memorizing a sequence of physical actions. Instead, this is a conversation about psychology, about emotional structure, about the way the human nervous system interprets closeness, and about why certain moments of physical connection leave powerful emotional imprints while others disappear the moment you walk out the door. By the end of this discussion, you'll understand several important things. First, why most men approach physical touch completely backwards even though their behavior feels logical in the moment. Second, the 3 psychological triggers that determine how a woman experiences closeness with a man. When these triggers are activated correctly, they deepen attraction in ways she may not even be able to explain, but she absolutely feels them. And third, the single factor that separates the men women keep thinking about all week from the men they forget by the next morning. Now let me make something clear. This isn't about becoming some flawless, idealized man. And it definitely isn't about manipulation. Nothing you'll hear here requires pretending to be someone you're not. In fact, the entire framework depends on the opposite: authenticity, presence, and the surprisingly rare act of actually being fully there with another person in the moment. Let me describe a situation that many men have experienced. You're spending time with a woman you genuinely like. The conversation is flowing easily. You're both laughing. The energy between you feels warm and comfortable. The night seems to be unfolding naturally, exactly the way you hoped it would. Eventually, you lean in and kiss her. But later, maybe that same night, maybe a few days afterward, you begin to notice something strange. The spark that felt so alive in the moment doesn't seem to carry forward. Her messages feel slightly colder. Her responses are shorter. The enthusiasm that was present earlier seems to fade. Something changed, yet you can't quite identify what it was. So you do what most men instinctively do. You begin reviewing the interaction in your head. You replay the conversation. You analyze your words. You wonder if you said something wrong or moved too quickly. It's like becoming a detective, examining every detail of the night, trying to locate the mistake. But here's the surprising truth. The mistake almost never happens during the kiss itself. It usually happens long before that moment, in the subtle emotional frame you brought into the interaction. Most men approach physical intimacy as something they're trying to obtain, something they hope to achieve, something they're working toward. And even if they never say it directly, women can feel that energy. Not logically, not consciously. She's not sitting there analyzing you and thinking, "This man appears to be trying to extract something from me." It's much more subtle than that. It shows up in tiny signals: a slight tension in your body, a hint of impatience in your pacing, a kind of forward pressure in your energy that reveals you're focused on the outcome rather than the experience. And the human nervous system is extremely sensitive to these signals. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans evolved to detect subtle cues about safety, intention, and emotional stability. That system operates automatically, below the level of conscious thought. So when a woman senses that a man is trying to get something from her, physical touch can create pressure. But when she feels that a man is simply with her, relaxed and unhurried, without an agenda, touch creates something entirely different. It creates safety. And here is the critical truth most men never hear: desire cannot grow in an environment of pressure, but it flourishes in an environment of safety. Safety is not the opposite of attraction. Safety is the foundation that allows attraction to deepen. There's another subtle mistake many men make as well. They believe that physical escalation is primarily about confidence. And they're partially right, but the version of confidence they try to demonstrate is often external and performative. It's loud, assertive, fast-moving. It's the energy of trying to prove you're bold enough, fearless enough, dominant enough. In the short term, that kind of energy can create excitement. But excitement and emotional obsession are not the same thing. Excitement lives in adrenaline. It's sharp and intense, but it burns out quickly. Obsession lives deeper in the nervous system. It grows slowly. It builds layer by layer over time. The men who create that deeper emotional pull are rarely the loudest or most flamboyant people in the room. They are the most grounded. And that brings us to another quiet but powerful mistake. Many men are physically present with a woman, but mentally somewhere else. She's sitting right in front of him. He might be touching her hand, her shoulder, or her face, but inside his mind, he's evaluating everything. Is this going well? Does she like me? Should I kiss her now? Am I doing this right? He's monitoring the interaction rather than experiencing it. And even though she can't read his thoughts, she can feel the difference. The touch feels slightly hollow, like a gesture without emotional weight behind it. A woman doesn't want to be touched by a man who is thinking about touching her. She wants to be touched by a man who is fully there with her. That's the real game. An understanding that leads us to 3 psychological triggers that shape how physical closeness is experienced: emotional safety, genuine presence, and groundedness. When these 3 elements are present, touch stops being just a physical action. It becomes something far more powerful, an emotional moment that leaves a lasting imprint long after the interaction ends. And that's the difference between a connection someone briefly remembers and one they keep thinking about for days afterward.